Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christensen, along with our co-host Anthony Faso. We just wrapped up our interview with Brandon Elliott, founder and creator of Credit Counsel Elite. They teach business owners how to get up to $500,000 every 6 months at 0% interest, and they do a couple other things. But that's what we focused on today. Anthony, what was your takeaway?
I'd say the biggest takeaway was maybe my mindset or expectations from maybe hearing the title of what Brandon does to actually seeing what he does. Oftentimes people talk about credit and they're trying to fix the credit history, and that never really moved the needle to me. I mean, I kind of thought, just pay your bills, right? and you're, I don't mean that sounds derogatory, but I didn't think credit was that big of a deal. I mean, if you're a good steward of the money, but what he's talking about is something very different. Not so much like our personal credit, but really trying to establish, to get capital to do investments. And one way to do that is through his system with credit. And he really surprised me of these ways of how he's doing it. And it really opened up my eyes to using this credit, particularly if you're somebody with a fix or flip, or maybe you're starting a business, maybe with a short-term rental, and you need to have those expenses to furnish the property or whatever your startup expenses are in your business. This could be a great tool to help you be successful in your business. And also what I liked is, like, he found a problem and turned it into a business. And really, I think that's where the best businesses are, when somebody can solve a problem and help other people, that they can turn into a business. What was your takeaway, Cam?
Well, Anthony, once again, I'm disappointed in you. Is right, the way you're just referencing kind of credit was, I think, right, the same way that a lot of people approach whole life insurance. Right? And so they have these misconceptions. And I think in one part in today, and I know that in one part of the interview today that Brandon referenced, really what he's out there doing is dispelling the half truths of credit. Man, and that is almost verbatim what we say a lot of the time. Is there's little nuggets of truth when it comes to insurance and the ways that you can use it. But man, there is a very poor understanding of some of those tools and the way to utilize them. And so, again, I feel like Brandon is out there kind of peeling back the curtain. And again, right, nothing's good or bad until, right, the way that you use it. So he's showing us how that you can use credit in a way to expand your business or acquire real estate and assets, which is phenomenal, which is what we're all trying to do. So once again, Anthony, very disappointed in you. But my takeaway today is really second chances. Man, this guy opened up with a pretty amazing story, and he talked about second chances. I won't ruin it for you, but stick around and listen to that. And maybe this one hit home because this weekend's sermon at our church, it was talking about second chances. And I actually sent myself a text when I was sitting in church this weekend, and I said, I quoted the pastor, and I just sent myself this. It says, "A second chance should not be squandered on inaction." And if you look at what Brandon was doing and what he's done since he had this incident where over 40% of his body was burned and this bomb blew up in his face, man, this guy's taken action. He hasn't been scared, and he's done something to help a whole lot of people out there. And so I was really impressed by him, and I really enjoyed this interview. So hope you guys enjoy this interview with Brandon Elliott. Again, Brandon is a leading authority on real estate and credit. He's experienced and proven in utilizing credit to invest in real estate and implement the burst strategy. Brandon has a thriving credit repair and trade lines company, but prefers teaching people the credit hacks he's been applying for years, such as building huge credit lines for both personal and business, up to 7 figures, and manufactured spending techniques showing how to create millions of points equivalent to cash, free travel, and even buying property using credit cards. Great interview. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Enjoy the episode.
Take care.
Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast, where we teach clients how to build wealth and create passive income without the risk of Wall Street.
Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christensen, along with our co-host Anthony Faso, and today we've got a special guest for you guys. We've got Brandon Elliott, right? Brandon is the founder and creator of Credit Counsel Elite. Credit Counsel Elite teaches business owners how to get up to $500,000 every 6 months at 0% interest. Can't wait to hear about that. Plus, they fix credit fast, get up to 800 FICO score in 30 days or less, 5 to 15,000 in free sign-up bonuses, how to buy properties with credit cards, travel hacking, and much more. Brandon, thank you for joining us, man.
What's up, fellas? How we doing today? I appreciate you having me.
We are doing great, and I'm excited. I'm not going to let Anthony talk much today. So, Brandon,
Get him out of here. Just kidding.
absolutely. Hey, man, give us a little background. I know you've got one heck of a background story. I've heard bits and pieces of it, but man, kind of pick up where you kind of had a bomb go off in your face.
Yeah, that's a good spot. Honestly, I just grew up misguided and a total screw up on many levels, honestly. So grew up from New Jersey, single parent mother. What a blessing of a woman. She raised 3 misfits, and doing so, she was labeled as manic depressive bipolar. And so at a very young age, I realized that I had to be like, I got that pressure at least to be like the man of the house, right? And also that I needed to, money was a big problem in our household. So I met my father when I was 18 in court so he could stop paying child support. And a lot of the problems in our house was related towards money. We grew up American poor. And what I mean by that is it's not like out of the country poor. It was very blessed, but it's still from Section 8 housing, Social Security, about $1,000 per month that we're living on for 4 people. And getting a lot of help from local churches and schools and friends and so forth in the area. And what happened was I ended up having a lot of pressure on me at a young age. I got my first job at 12. I was looking at age 9. But when I finally got my first job, I was just working around the clock, going to school, working. And around the spring break of 8th grade, I ended up getting introduced to marijuana at the time. And I'll be the first person to admit, like, I became addicted to it. I utilized it for the good, the bad, ugly, everything in between. And I realized that I had to be the person within my group of friends, because I grew up without money, that I had to, if I wanted to keep doing this, I had to be the person supplying it to my small group of friends. That snowballed effect. It went down the wrong path, misguided, like I said, and no male figure in my life to help correct that. And it took me down this wrong path. And years later, fast forward, I had an explosion in my apartment here in San Diego. It was Pacific Beach, right off of Garnett in PB. I was about to go surfing in about an hour or so, a night surfing. And before that, I was knocking out a batch of hash oil that I was creating, butane hash oil, in my apartment. And I had a medical marijuana card. I was allowed to do the beginning, the after. Had no idea I wasn't allowed to do that whole middle process or how dangerous it was. Just young, dumb, reckless. And so I ended up literally having an explosion in my apartment. I got tossed 7 feet into my living room. I jumped up, and guess what? I'm now on fire. And
goodness.
Yeah, all the windows exploded out of my house. I had my neighbor across from the noise and the explosion. She was freaking out, screaming. And I have my 2 dogs in my house running around like, what's going on? And it was just a horrible experience. And so I'm running around ripping off my shirt that burnt basically off of me. And then I was wearing basketball shorts at the time, and those burnt up into like a little crisp ball after I tossed it off. I was wearing socks at the time, and I was wearing baseball gloves. I don't even like baseball, between you and me. So anybody out there that does, my bad, but that's just not my sport. And but I truly feel like it was a blessing in disguise. I had these gloves on, which saved my hands. Like, if you can see, it's hard because I'm wearing a watch, but the skin graft goes right up to it, like right up to where, like, pretty heavily too. And so And so I ended up getting induced into a coma for a full week. I went through 3 surgeries. I had to learn how to walk again, and I burnt 40% of my body. I got skin graft on my arms as well as my legs, and it was just a real eye-opening experience. It was one of those slap to the faces that like I needed to be able to realize that I'm on the wrong path. First off, I didn't totally understand or notice, and I needed to find a better path that is more beneficial and not something that I need to worry about or find myself in the hospital like this again. So
wow. Yeah, I've heard about God nudging you in ways, but I've never heard a bomb going off in your face, right?
For certain personality types, you kind of need that. So with mine, I'm a all in type of individual. If I would have just got a little slap on the wrist or something like that, I just being very blunt with you, I probably wouldn't have changed. So
Sure.
he knew exactly what I needed to be able
Yeah.
to get off of that, to take a real, time out and get off my feet and realize like, hey, bro, you need some guidance in a different path. So,
Wow. Man, thanks for sharing that story.
yeah.
Where do you go from there, right? I mean, obviously there's a recovery. This is a pretty serious kind of event that's
Yeah.
happening to you. But where's that bridge from kind of you going to the hospital, recovery and all that stuff to kind of where
Yeah.
you are now today?
Yeah, so kind of fast forward, I was fighting this in court for 2 years. I got a mentor that was court ordered, thank God. He literally saved my life because when I had the opportunity to speak in court, I was about to go to jail for 3 to 5 years. And instead, they gave me the opportunity to speak. I don't know what happened, but I kind of blanked out for 10 minutes, and I just came from the heart. And the judge realized it wasn't malicious; it was something totally idiotic and misguided, and gave me house arrest. So I got 2 felonies, a misdemeanor, and I got a second chance. So with that mentor, it also I identified like, holy cow, there's other people out there that care about me, that see something more in me than I see in myself, and that I need to constantly keep investing in myself to be, really getting myself to the next level, because that helped tremendously. And so I started falling in love with real estate. I went down a rabbit hole while I'm on house arrest and all that, time by myself. I had time to really go down the rabbit hole of educating myself on credit and real estate. And I fell in love with real estate, but credit was the catalyst to be able to truly get there.
Hey, Brandon, I'm curious. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
Yeah.
always like to know how people picked real estate, because most of the time, if you're watching, the news or CNBC or reading it, it's all about the stock market, or maybe you might get involved in day trading.
Sure.
What stood out to you about real estate?
Well, this is where I actually fell in love with it. I was doing door-to-door sales with Kirby vacuum cleaner at the time. It was a $3,500 vacuum cleaner that we were selling door-to-door. I became really good at it. I think it was because of my past history. It took me down that sales approach. So I ended up getting recruited into an investment company that back in 2012, we were focusing on pre-foreclosures, notice of defaults. And that's where I saw the systems in place. I fell in love with it, and I got a little bit of education, but it really took me down that rabbit hole of I got to soak up as many podcasts just like this, YouTube education as I can, go to the RIA groups to get this knowledge so that I can really start implementing it.
When did you start implementing? So you fall in love with it, and then what was kind of the first action you took?
So the education, I'm a slow learner, man, and
That's Cameron.
Yeah. So it took me 2 full years until I got my first property, but no exaggeration whatsoever. I'm not BSing by this at all. I literally did 4 hours every single day of education, of podcasts, YouTube's, books, and I was just soaking up as much as I could. During that whole process, I submitted 30 plus offers, but I was going against real investors that do all cash, no contingencies. I wasn't educated to the point to keep up with them yet.
Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome.
So we got a couple items out there, right? We got a couple options. You're submitting things for 2 years. And when did kind of the credit council, when did you have that aha moment where you're like, listen, I need something extra. I can't continue down this road?
Yeah, so once I started realizing, okay, I fell in love with the strategy, the Burr strategy. That's what
Yeah.
I wanted to do in real estate. And I started figuring out, how the heck am I supposed to fund this thing?
Yeah.
So I had some credit cards with high limits at the time, 60, 70, 80,000, and I kept on getting credit limit increases. And just mistakenly, I was doing the right things. So I started finding myself getting into more education for credit so that I could really figure out how to get the cash from the credit cards, liquidate it into physical cash, and use it for closing, and then pay off the cards later on once I'm done doing the Burr strategy. It worked, long story short, and Credit Counsel Elite really was formed not until about 2018, 2019, when I had so many people constantly come up to me and say they were impressed with me investing first off 3,000 miles away, because we started off investing over in Ohio
Yeah.
and then in other states and then locally here in San Diego. But they all kept on saying, well, I need to make money first over here in what I'm doing so that I can put the money into real estate. And for me, that just wasn't the case. I was like, real estate changed my life. That is the money right there. But I utilized credit to be able to do it. And so then I was like, I need to start showing people how to do it. Once I started helping people, coach them through it, they were getting results in a couple of weeks. And then
Wow.
it started turning into all these other aspects of credit that we started showing people.
Awesome. So now kind of who would you say kind of this credit counsel lead is for? Is it for anybody? Is it somebody with bad
Yeah.
credit? Like who, right? Who's calling in and saying, Brandon, I need your help?
Yeah. So it's really for business owners. Somebody that's
Okay.
making over $100,000 per year is typically our strong avatar. Honestly, somebody that constantly has opportunities coming in front of them that they need an extra 50, 100, 2, 3, 4, $500,000 to be able to like at their fingertips so that they can close on more deals, get more cash flow, better tax incentives, and take down more territory instead of missing out on it.
Yeah.
Those are the people that really succeed in Credit Counsel Elite.
So you just threw out some pretty big numbers there, right?
Yeah.
You said 50 to 75, 80, then you went all the way up to 500,000, like,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
I mean,
I
that's not
start
about
off at
as
I
go
start
ahead.
off at 50,000 for the
Yeah.
simple fact that it's mind blowing to see how many people that need just a little bit of money, like 40, 50,000 to be able to take down more territory and make an extra 20,000 a year. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my God, like, please just get this credit here. Just call this person, please say this. You'll get these credit lines.
So two things kind of come to my mind, Brandon. One is like the amounts that you kind of just threw out there. They seemed kind of exorbitant, right? Those are pretty high numbers. And then the other thought that I have, maybe you can address on both of these, is that are you saying we're using credit cards, right? I mean, credit cards and credit and interest rates on those,
Yep.
right? That doesn't correlate with me, right? That's something that I've typically just been like, you know what? I'm not going to use those.
Stay
Stay away
away.
from it.
Yep.
Exactly. So enlighten me, Brandon.
Yeah, so it's the myth that we grew up on of understanding that credit's bad, have no more than 2 credit cards. Some I've heard crazy myths out there of people saying, you know, you actually have to pay some interest per month to help out your credit score. Like, my God, the things that we're taught in school or
Yeah.
not taught at all
Mm.
is really crushing us. So I think it's more important to follow what the rich do. Like, follow what the mega wealth do, because that leaves a lot of clues. And if you can read between the lines, it always makes sense. So what we realized is that the rich people are, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like, they have the money, capital to be able to take down anything they want. However,
Yeah.
they're still taking out loans for tax benefits, plus, so they're not holding up all their cash, and that they can take out more territory and be able to just leverage, right? All good investors leverage, OPM. So I think it's just very important to realize that all of this is possible, but it's important to um, figure out the right steps on how to be able to get as much funding from the banks to be able to leverage it.
And what is I don't know if that's kind of what's in the course. So if that's kind of what's in the course, don't right, just lead us to that. But
I'm
for
an open
somebody
book.
that's a bit, yeah, somebody that's a business owner, they're making 100,000,
Yeah.
right? And they do have opportunities that are falling their lap, and they're like, man, if I had an extra 100 or 200, I would do this, this, and this. What does that process look like? Is that to get themselves kind of in an appealing position to banks and lenders to get that type of line of credit?
Let me just clarify the question. So
Yeah.
what are the steps to be able to position yourself
Yeah.
to get the fund? Okay.
Yeah, what's a business owner doing to get, a line of credit of 100, 200,000?
Yeah.
I'm understanding on credit cards, right?
Yeah,
What does
yeah.
that look like?
Yeah, and so first off, I think it's important when you hear credit cards to just stay open-minded about it. This is a whole new way of thinking behind credit. Next, it's realizing that many people are saying the wrong things when they're talking to banks. A lot of people have a lot of hatred towards banks, and for many positive, good reasons, right? They can get away with crazy things that we can't. But long story short, the banks want to lend to us. That's their business. It's important for them to lend to us.
Yeah, they have to.
They have to. That's their
Well,
business.
they make
So,
money.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, so it's important to identify how the banks and lenders and creditors are judging us so that we know how to play the game. Think of it like real life Monopoly. I think that's the best, easiest approach to, if you don't know how to play Monopoly, you're going to fail miserably at it. And that's exactly how people are treating in like real life right now, unfortunately. So it's important to get educated on how the banks and lenders are judging you, how like your the 6 boxes that make up your FICO score. So many people are clueless of that. What are 6 boxes that make up your FICO score? Like nobody knows. And then they don't know what to say. They don't know how to position themselves in front of the banks. They don't know the different metrics that banks are judging you. So all of this has a big key role in how you're either going to get denied, approved, what limits you're going to get approved for. There's literally 90, I don't want to butcher the number, and it sounds a little weird, but it's literally 9,424 banks nationwide right now, currently. We just ran it the other day and we keep updated with it on a regular basis. We have it in a spreadsheet, state by state, how many banks are active right now, minus the 4 that just went down. So it's really important to identify that all these banks are in the business to lend to you. How long you've been with them is very crucial because there's a know, like, and trust factor there. How many products and services you are utilizing from them is crucial. And then they have internal ratings of the bank balance that you have, along with the money in and out that's going on an ebb and flow for the next 30, 90 days, and even 6 months with some banks.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer the question, or we can go deeper? I don't want to make it confusing.
Well, I would like to go deeper because,
Please.
right, I get what you're saying. So now we've kind of in a position, hey, man, what you're telling me is people don't know what they're doing, right? They go into the bank, they say the wrong things,
Yes.
right? They're checking the wrong boxes. They don't
Yep.
have their stuff in order. And so what I'm hearing you say, right, is what you do is you help somebody kind of present themselves in the most favorable fashion to a bank or something like that, right?
Well, so we break down Credit Counsel Elite in actually a 4-step process. And this is how we believe it just makes total sense and easy for people to understand, clarify, and be able to take action on. Number 1 is educate. So, and I'll run through it really quick. Educate, fix, build, leverage. So education, it's important to just understand how the bank's creditors are judging you so you know how to play the game. Position yourself properly. Next is fix. So whether you're in the 800 club already or you're in the 300 club, it doesn't matter. Every single person needs fixing. And this is going to be an ego check to a lot of people thinking like, oh no, man, I'm good. It's like, I promise you there's something on there that can be removed, an old outdated address, old employer phone number, stuff like that. Simple things, right? Next is going to be build. So the good part about fix, actually, just going back here, is that we've seen a lot of breakthroughs for people. This isn't a do it for you service. This is a do it with you service. We teach people how to be able to get amazing results very quickly. So whether you have a bankruptcy, collections, late payments, hard inquiries to the 50 plus, when there's a will, there's a way. And anything and everything can be deleted, removed, improved, updated in your favor, which is really good to know. So you don't need to settle for the bankruptcy anymore, or collections over 100K. So once you remove all these things, and it can be done within a couple hours to 10 business days to 30 days and so forth. But then after that, then you're going to move on to build. And that's where we can show you how to actually boost up your score to get to the 800 club in less than 30 days, guaranteed every time. Afterwards is where you're going to set yourself.
So sorry, Brandon. Guaranteed.
Yes.
So what happens if we're not at 800?
Yeah. Then you haven't completed the fix yet properly.
Okay.
So once the fix is done and you have checked off, all right, I'm good on fix, you're going to move on to build. Roughly, the average person, when they are nothing negative on their credit report, then they're going to be around the 700 club, maybe even mid 700s. That means they're out of the 6 boxes, there's 3 boxes that are related towards fixing credit. There's 3 boxes that are related towards building credit. And the build side actually makes up 55% of your FICO score. So it has a slightly bigger impact. So that's why within 30 days or less max, I know that by finishing boosting your score, you'll get over 800. And any real estate investors out there, you really want to be at 760 to 780 range or above to get the best rates for mortgages. But not talking about mortgages, talking about getting, set up for a successful mass apply is what we call it. A mass apply, for anybody trying to understand what that is, it's an application sequence where if done correctly, you'll get anywhere from 10 to 40 plus credit cards approved at a 90% success rate.
Okay, so is that how we're getting up to the 500? Is maybe stacking multiple
of
lines
course.
Of credit? Okay.
Yeah, you're not applying for just one credit card. You're applying for when you put it in the right order. And I need to take a quick pause here for a second. Yeah. All listeners out there, please, please, please be caution. Do not be like this guy right here and try things on your own. You're just going to fail miserably. And that's not a sales approach. That's not like I've seen it hundreds of times. I've seen it with students jump in and try running through our information. It's important to truly identify the 25 different plus metrics of how the banks are judging you and how to put the cards in the right order. Every single person's mass apply, their list is going to be a different order. Think of it like an individual thumbprint. Your credit score is completely different than mine. Your location of where you live, how long you've been with the banks, what type of credit limits you have with your current credit cards. There is a lot of different moving pieces. So there's never going to be one list. And that's why it's important to know it so that you can put it in the right order.
And there's 9,400 banks or something that are operating out there, right? So it's different for everybody.
Well, Brandon, let me ask you had mentioned establishing a relationship with a bank.
Yeah, it's a secret ingredient.
But then hard to do that by more than one bank. Or maybe you could do a handful.
Is that the truth or is that your truth?
Brandon can do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what I would say, this is good. This is really good to bring up. You don't need to have relationships with all 9,400. Okay. I'm not telling you to do that. I just want to open your eyes that the average person has 1 or 2 bank accounts out there. I mean, how many, if you guys don't mind me asking, how many bank accounts do you guys have roughly?
Honestly, I probably have 10.
I think I've got 10. Well, I've got 11. No, I'm just kidding. I think I've got 6.
You guys are always wondering.
I'm also a recovering CPA, so I do keep and trying to use the profit first mentality. So, but they are all at one bank.
Oh, so that's not what I'm talking about. Bank relationships. So what you're talking about is one bank with different products, multiple products, which is good. But what I'm talking about is not one bank. I'm talking about as many banks as possible. So what you don't want to do is open up 10 bank accounts today with different banks. You will get hit with check systems and be flagged, and they are thinking that you just ran off with somebody's credit, like their social, and that you're about to do a mass apply, get all this new funding, and then run off with it. So what you want to do is one new bank relationship per either 2 weeks or weekly at the very earliest. If you do any more than that, then you could set yourself up with a red flag.
Okay.
What I recommend is keep a spreadsheet. It's not that hard to do this. Keep a spreadsheet, the name of the bank, the manager's name, this is crucial, and then also the date you opened it and how many products you're taking advantage of with them. Is it just a personal checking and savings? Is it a business checking and savings, multiple businesses, a CD? I don't know. Just write it down and then roughly put the balance of what you're keeping in there.
Okay. Brandon, I wrote a note down here. So we got 10 to 40 banks or 10 to 40 plus credit cards, right? Is kind of the application. That stat kind of blew my mind, right?
Yeah.
Again, my truth is credit cards bad. So if I've got 40 of these, the first thing that comes to mind is interest, right? That we're paying on these things, right?
Yeah.
And utilization, right?
Yep.
Help me talk through that. Number one, am I really able to use some of this to go buy real estate? And what are the rates that we're discussing here? I mean, that doesn't sound like it's going to work out to me.
0% interest, baby. So I never ever look at interest rates when it comes down to credit cards from banks. I'm looking at my interest rates for my mortgages, and I'm not happy with you know, just like everybody else nationwide. But what I would say is that I mean, there's so many different ways to move money around, and there's so many banks that all banks have about 6 different products. They have a cash rewards card, a travels card, a student card, a 0% interest, what else did I not mention? There's a couple others. So you really just want to identify that they have these products for you, and you can go with the 0% interest cards for anywhere from typically it's 6 months to 22 months is the range. Many will average between 1 year, 12 months, or 18 months. And what you can do is get all of these credit cards and you can liquidate it into cash, right? And this is for somebody that's like brand new that doesn't know the extra things that I know of. Even if it isn't at 0% interest, I can move the money around. So when you're if the end goal is to really, and it's important to look at the end goal and then backtrack, right? If the end goal is to buy real estate and you're doing the burst strategy, it's going to be a short term in and out or a fix and flip. Then what you would want to do is get business credit cards that are not going to show up underneath your personal. Of course, you're going to personally guarantee in the beginning so that you're going to get a hard inquiry. But when you do this mass apply, you get 30, 40 business credit cards, a couple 100,000 of new credit lines, and it's hidden underneath business credit versus your personal. You can remove all the hard inquiries anytime afterwards. Your score stays up. Your utilization is low because it's not getting, it's not fluctuating. And then you can liquidate that business credit at 0% interest for the 18 to 22 months and actually, put it into real estate. Does that answer the question, or we could go deeper?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
One thing came to mind is when we're talking, I know one thing that's looking at your credit is how long, I don't know what the proper term is, but how long your credit history or how long you've had those credit cards. I don't know what that word is, but you know what I'm saying?
It is the credit history. Yeah.
Credit history. If you get say 10 new credit cards, now their history is 1 month.
Yep.
Will that negatively impact your credit history since you have such new credit?
Yes, it will. So that's why it's important to identify the 6 boxes and how they work and how to maneuver around them. So when it's business credit cards, they're not going to show up underneath your personal. Therefore, it's not going to affect it, right? You will get a hard inquiry originally, but it doesn't report underneath personal. Now, when it's personal credit cards, yes, you're going to get the hard inquiry. You remove it just like the business, but then it is going to show up typically within a month underneath your account section, underneath your personal. And then, yes, just like you said, your average credit age is going to adjust. It's going to lower. That makes up 15% of your FICO. It's a big deal. And so the repeating cycle here is you're going to go back to the build part. And that's where we can guarantee to boost up your score to get to the 800 club in 30 days or less. How that is, the secret sauce behind that is authorized users. So it's going to be a continuous game that you're adding authorized users to your portfolio. And you can either get that for free by learning how to market properly, or you can pay for them. It's an industry out there. So you're going to lease it for about 2 months. It's going to stay on your credit report, their good credit history. And so you're going to add a bunch of cards that are 30 plus years old. And then it's going to boost up your score. It's going to boost up your average credit age to 9 years again, to put you in the best category. Does that make sense?
You know what? I know. Yeah. I'd never heard of that. I never heard it like that, but it makes sense because I'm working. My daughter's 23.
Yes.
So she's looking at buying her first rental property, and hopefully we might have 2 properties by the end of the year as a goal.
Let's go.
We've been looking at her credit, and I looked at it, dude. I think it was higher than mine. And we used Credit Karma to kind of evaluate.
Yeah, that's why. Don't look there, please.
Okay, well,
it's a Vantage score.
But what I found was interesting. We had put her on one of our credit cards when she was in college, and but according to her credit report, she has credit history for the last starting from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like when she was
her
7,
average age is higher, right?
Yeah. So that's what clicked to me because, maybe I need to charge her for
you
that.
You should definitely charge
right?
her. There's interest on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But all right. I think when you just said that of having that kind of being.
Now, and it's all math. It's very simple to figure out the average age by adding up all your total accounts together, the age of it, then dividing it by that many accounts. So if you have less than 5 years, you're in the red, and you cannot do a mass apply. It will hurt you drastically. However, you want to be at 9 years plus for the average age, and that will help boost up your score.
So, Brent, I got educate, fix, build, and what was the fourth one? I think
Yes, that one is leverage. So once you finish building, so you're going to boost up your score with building. You're going to do your mass apply. Afterwards, focus on business credit as well. There's a 3-step part right there. You're going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars at your fingertips. You'll also get free sign-up bonuses with the build. Anywhere from 5 to 15,000 is what our guys are averaging of just free cash. From that's opening up bank accounts as well as sign-up bonuses with the cards. Afterwards, you jump into leverage. So that's where this is why you originally jumped into the, Credit Council Elite. This is why you wanted to learn about credit, because you had the end goal in mind. You have opportunities at your fingertips. We teach you how to liquidate it into cash and be able to take down more territory. We talk about, life insurance. We talk about real estate. We talk about trust and start protecting your wealth. But it really comes down to, if you don't have certain things that are like lighting you up to grow your business, start a new business, or scale one, then, they have the opportunity to invest in real estate with us as well.
So it seems to me like this isn't just a one-time, for your service isn't just at that one time. That is kind of something that needs to be continued to manage.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be, but it's something that every 6 months they can do their mass apply and they can get as much funding, and that's for themselves or significant other, friends, family, clients, you name it. So it's very beneficial. But our community, our culture is very family vibe. I rather do life with people that like I enjoy too, and we're having a good time. We make money together, we grow and scale together. So that's what I enjoy. So a lot of our culture is designed that way, and that's why people, at the end they invest alongside with us, because they like the returns, and if they don't have a deal at the moment. But right now I'm pushing a lot of people, like in the next 6-12 months, I think there's going to be tremendous opportunities that no excuses. Everybody in my circle is going to be getting some properties.
Brandon, I heard you say 500,000 every 6 months.
Yes.
Is that an additional 500, or is that you're cycling it over to another round of credit cards to retain that 0%?
Nope. It's that question is kind of almost the same to a certain degree. You're going to be getting another. I know what you mean though. So it's basically getting another additional. You're hitting more of those banks. You're also with the. Say you get on your first mass supply, you get 500,000.
Yeah.
It's important to be a good steward of those funds and then get credit limit increases, right? But then do your second mass supply and get another 500,000 from more banks. And then it just starts snowballing that. But it's every 6 months roughly is when you can do it.
Awesome.
Now, if somebody just starting can they do this if they just started a business?
Yes. Yep. I mean, honestly, we've had our youngest guy, 19 years old. He crushed it with this. You know, he went from 510 FICO score to 812 FICO score in 10 days. And he messed up his score when he was just out of like 18 to 19 because they're not teaching in school. Yeah. But what was good was that he was fresh out of school. He had that mentality of like, just go through and take action, like homework. And so he did everything. And within his first 30 days, he got $350,000 in new credit lines. He got $17,000 in free cash from sign-up bonuses. And this guy didn't even have a job yet. So now it was very important for me. Yeah, it was very important for me to be like, you know, to guide him properly at this young age to not, you know, make any mistakes here.
There'd be some danger there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we teach financial literacy as well. You know, I don't want anybody to be buying liabilities or go buy the Gucci sweatshirt for 20,000. You know, you buy assets and you buy assets only that are going to, you know, rinse and repeat. And so he invested in real estate. He ended up getting his dream car, which scared the hell out of me at first, but then he turned it into a Turo. And so he gets to free, you know, drive a couple times per month, but he makes good cash flow from it as well. And then he put some money into a clothing business that he wanted to start. So it's been a blessing.
Awesome, man. Well, give us an overview. Like, so somebody approaches you, and are there different levels, packages? What does this look like?
Yeah, there's levels to it, man. It's so we have two different packages. We have a 90-day challenge. And what this is, it's $15,000, and that breaks down customer support there's a coaching call every Thursday where it flips back and forth between fix and build, because those are the two biggest things that we have. And then they have a customer success manager that's assigned to them that will basically deep dive into their situation and help them get to their goal on as much as they need. They have a personal Calendly link too. And it's for 90 days. And it's because we know that they get access to their course and all that stuff for as long as, you know, forever. But the customer support, we know that they're going to get results within 30 to 90 days. That's what we average. So, so that's going throughout the whole process. And then our next package it's an invite only. So after you go through that, if we believe you are right and you want to be more a part of the family, and we have our mastermind, and that's $30,000. And that's for a full year. And we do 2 additional events throughout the year in different locations, masterminding on each other's business. And then we have an additional monthly call as a group, and we deep dive into the leverage, we deep dive into business credit, and really the wealth generating strategies and travel hacking that we're not covering in the 90-day challenge.
So what I heard there was
a lot of stuff.
What he heard is rinse and repeat, which is one of his favorite sayings. But
what I heard was the mass supply, right? You get anywhere from 10 to 40 credit cards at 90% success rate.
Yep.
And then you threw out a couple options there where somebody got back like 17,000 in cash.
Yeah.
If it costs 15,000, you're still positive.
Oh, dude, that's why it's really a no-brainer. We could easily and it's hard for people to wrap their heads around this. Like every time after somebody goes through it, they say, "Dude, I would easily pay 100,000 for this," and there's no exaggeration behind that at all. It's literally worth every penny because people are getting millions of dollars with this stuff. It just comes down to we want to make it affordable but a strong enough pain point for people to truly take action.
Yeah.
You know, you got to pay attention. I personally do, and I'm a firm believer of that. So, but I'm only one person, so it's important for me to teach as many leaders nationwide so that they can help out their significant other, their family, their circle, and their clients. I think it's going to be a good ripple effect, honestly.
So what does that look like? What's your goal for Credit Counsel Elite? Like, where are you trying to take it?
Yeah. So, you know, we've been focusing on the brand a lot, helping out as many people as possible, and my goal is to really just be able to fine tune the message so that we can resonate with everybody and eliminate the fear. You know, the reason why people don't take action in things is because the lack of education that has developed into fear. So if we can educate them properly and show them like we have guarantees in our agreement and everything, you know, because we're that confident, we know it's going to work out. As long as you show up and implement, you're going to get the results every time. Like we've done this thousands of times. So it really, if we can fine tune that and help out as many people as possible, then it's just going to be there's just an effect behind it. There's a ripple effect that makes a big impact. So very blessed we are a for-purpose business as well. So when people invest with us and at a lot of our events, we raise money as well. But you know, when somebody invests with us, a portion of those funds go towards a nonprofit that we support, whether it's building a home in Mexico or, you know, supplying clean water to an individual for the lifetime of them in where they live. And Jen is a big believer in, you know, stopping child slavery and so forth. So there's a lot of cool things that we're making a big impact with.
Awesome. What would be the time commitment? So if somebody comes in, does a 90-day challenge,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the expectation there? Is this a full-time gig? What time do they need to devote to it to be successful?
Full-time job here. No, it's no. So we identify that every single person is busy, even if you're busy doing nonsense. You know, we're all busy in life. We've come up with the systems in place to really do a lot of the leg work for people, but yes, they still need to take action. So we always say you need a minimum of 5 hours per week. If you can commit 5 hours per week to change your financial literacy, to break off the stinking thinking that you grew up with, and to really like unlock a couple things that are brand new ideas to you so you can start getting creative again and start asking us a bunch of questions, then within, you know, 1 to 3 months, it's going to totally change your life. But we need at least 5 hours per week.
I think right. If anybody's serious, they're writing a check for 15,000. I think they should be able to find 5 hours in a week.
Please, yes.
Yeah.
Brandon, I know Anthony's got a question for you, but real quick is if somebody's listening to this and they're like, "Man, this sounds awesome, right? I want to do this." Where can they find you? Where should they go?
Yeah, go to our website. It's www.creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. There is a video. First off, geek out on there for a little bit. Have fun. Check out all the stuff. We got a lot of articles, blogs, education on there. You can learn more about our for-purpose business. But also there is a 10-minute video that kind of breaks down a little bit more of the grand scheme of things of what we can do for you. And after watching that, you'll be prompted to fill out a quick form so that we can learn more about you. And then you can book a call with our team to answer any questions that you might have. I just ask, if you book that call, show up to the call, be very intentional, as if you're sitting down with your lawyer that you're spending thousands of dollars with. Like, just be set up with questions that you have for us so that we can really help you like today.
Perfect. Brandon, you know, we didn't touch, but you also have your own podcast.
I do, yes.
Well, why don't you share the name of that?
I do. Yeah. So it is it's Ready Set Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. We've been doing it for many moons now. I don't know, 5 or 6 years. So yeah, every single Monday we have a new episode coming out. You guys were on. It was a blessing to have you guys, and yeah, we've interviewed like 280 plus people, so it's been good.
Yeah, I know last week you did a great interview with an individual, and Cameron was there. And what I learned in there that you've been practicing infinite banking yourself.
Yes.
And I just wanted to maybe if you could share how you are using it
Yeah.
in your business or investing.
Yeah, I'm such a firm believer in this. I'm a firm believer in following what the wealthy people are doing, the rich are doing out there. So you guys are implementing it as well. So I appreciate you guys getting that information out there. How I use mine personally, and we have several, by the way. I'm using mine in real estate. And just to be honest, we could use it for anything that is going to make me a stronger return than, where it's at. So it's a no-brainer in my opinion. It's just another tool of flipping the script on the bank, becoming your own bank, and being able to over time set yourself up for a more financial brighter future.
Brandon, what would you tell somebody who maybe they're listening to this and they're like, I don't know, this IBC, and maybe it sounds too good to be true, I don't know, but they're on the fence. What advice would you give to somebody who's sitting there on the fence?
Yeah, anybody that's on the fence, it's from the either the poor education, like the lack of education that you are going after, or that somebody's presenting. So and it's not always the presenter that it's their fault. Like it comes down to the individual. If you see something and if your heart is gravitating towards this thing, then it's your responsibility to really kind of go down that rabbit hole and understand the ins and outs so that you can make your best decision on it. I'm the type of person though that I'm a very action, driven type of individual, and no pun intended, but I'll jump in first and then I will figure out how to build the plane next when it's falling down, So I think you can always get referrals, ask other people that you have respect for, but get education too, and it will eliminate any fear and get you off the fence.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Brandon.
Brandon, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Is I thought this thing blowing up in your face was going to be the highlight of today's interview. But
it's a good one though, right?
we started here and we just kept on going, man. I really appreciate the insight that you're able to give kind of us and then also our listeners today. This was awesome.
Yeah.
And so once again, before we wrap up, if you could give us that website where somebody can find you, and then we'll sign off here.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys as well. You guys are amazing. Always have a blast with you. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. How you guys can get a hold of me, it's very simple. It's go to creditcounselelite.com. That's www.creditcounselelite.com. Check out our podcast, Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, every Monday. And if you want to DM me or let me know that you saw me on here, then reach out on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments.
Awesome, Brandon. Thanks again, man. Really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Have fun today, okay? Thanks.
Go make it a fantastic day.
Take care.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. Also, check out our website, infinitewealthconsultants.com, to find our podcast along with other additional resources.